Piece 1093 is out, the unofficial. It's a good one. It's a lot going on in this. A lot going on here. Man, oh man. So to recap, we left off. Let's see, where was it? First, Luffy was fighting Kizaru in Gear 4th, which was Snake Man, which was not working at all. You could tell Kizaru was pretty bored, and he flung Luffy away, which ended up having the Vega Force destroyed. The robot, Luffy was thrown right through its abdomen area, breaking it apart and preventing that part of the plan from working. The good news out of that episode, if I remember right, last chapter was that all the Vegapunks finally broke York's code, so they could or found the password, I guess you could say, so that they could bring down the force field, the labo phase defenses, and the first part of the last chapter was that Kuma had finally made it to the Holy Land, and he was confronted by a Kainu, because so it was funny. When Kuma left, shoot, what's the name of the island again? Where he was there with Dragon and everyone. When he left there, he used his fruit power to just boop away, and fly away essentially. And he ends up at the Red Wall. We saw that about 25 chapters ago. He started climbing up it, and he was shot down once, but it didn't. The other Marines that were trying to stop him couldn't. And I was just realizing, why didn't he just try to go up that with his fruit? Why can't he go vertically with his fruit ability? Because he started climbing up it, and by doing that, I think that gave Kainu enough time to get there to the Marijwa. He was waiting, because we see they were fighting right outside Pangea Castle, and what I didn't realize, after I did my review and I watched some other people, everyone else is pointing out that what he's probably just doing is still coming to Egghead Island. I completely overlooked that. I guess it's more of a coincidence that he ended up on by Marijwa, because it seems his intent was only to get over the Red Wall, because he was in the Paradise side, and then he wasn't trying to fight with Kainu. Kainu tried to stop him and successfully damaged him in his head, and I think his foot, but Kuma just got around him when he could, and then as soon as he had a chance, he blasted off again. And he's probably heading for Egghead, and that completely went over my head. I just thought maybe he was there at I thought he was at Marijwa to do something. I thought something was going on there because that's where he was taken from. But the speculation from other people I'm watching is that he's coming to Egghead, and based on what's going on, he's almost there. So it's like that reminds me too. Back when I did a video about all these people converging on Egghead, I don't think I was thinking about Kuma at the time. I was thinking about Marco and Miss Buckingham is supposedly coming, but and we haven't seen them since. I think that was 1068, 1069. It's been over 20 chapters, and we still haven't seen those two if they're about to arrive. And the last part of the chapter now was that Luffy is fighting Kizaru. First he tries Gear 4th Snake Man, and it's clearly not fast enough for Kizaru, which is funny too, because I keep thinking about how when Luffy was meeting these other pirates before Kaido, before the likes of the Yonko, like Kizaru, not Kizaru, Katakuri. Keep forgetting Katakuri's name. Katakuri seemed very impressive at the time, but it's clear that the admirals are probably a lot stronger than any of the Yonkos. We can't count Shanks. And they look like any of the other Yonkos. Also, we can't really count Blackbeard. So I'm thinking of Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard at this point. Any of those other Yonko commanders is what I want to say. They would not stand a chance against admirals, I think. Any of the admirals. The best I could think of is that King against Greenbow would be interesting, because he can light himself on fire and he can be nearly invincible. So his fire abilities against Green Bull would be real interesting. Unless Queen could do like some kind of virus slash plague thing that could harm Green Bull. It's like I think Kizaru and Akainu would be just really hard to fight. Like Luffy might have a chance against Akainu. I guess they could if they. I guess some of them could have with Kainu if they can like get close to him before he turns everything into magma around him. Anyways, this is a whole speculation. I shouldn't. Anyways, Luffy tried. It's trying Snake Man, and it didn't work. He got blown away, and that also ended up having the Vega Force destroyed. So that part of the plan was ruined because now they can't get to the rest of the other end of the island with the Sunny to blast off. Because the Sunny needs like from there to be able to have like I think the plan was to have the Vega Force be like the launch pad, and before it got too far, they launched the Sunny from there to escape the marine barricade or blockade. And so then Vegapunk, he also kicked Bonnie away because she tried to fight back, and he made it to Vegapunk. But then Luffy came back with on Gear 5th, and we ended the chapter 1 with him grabbing Kizaru, and 2, we saw that giant ancient robot awaken out of nowhere. So we left pondering what that means. And most people I've read, I didn't even think of this. Most people I read think it's because Luffy being like the sun, kind of like he might be like the he might be the way that thing is powered, because that's the main thing about it that Vegapunk said he couldn't follow. Anyway, the long and short here is now we start the new chapter right where we left off with Luffy in his giant form outside the top of the lab dome, and he grabs Kizaru with the others watching. So who's there? Nami, Usopp, wait, is that Pythagoras? I think that one's called Pythagoras. If I mix up the name, I know which one he looks like. I just get his name mixed up. No, it's Edison. Edison. I was calling. I think. What did I just call him? Oh, it's the Edison. Yeah, Edison, Atlas, Vegapunk himself. So if I say Vegapunk here, I'm gonna usually be meaning the Stella. I'll just be saying him as by Vegapunk and the others by their name. So yeah, Vegapunk, Edison, Atlas, and Nami and Usopp are looking on here. Where's Robin and Sanji again? We see Sanji later here, but I don't know where he is exactly. But wait, let me bring this back up. So Sanji, so the others look on as Luffy. Kizaru, I think he's still being silly, kind of not. I think at most of this chapter he's still being rather like, oh, this is odd, but not like he's not perturbed. But because wasn't sure here, because when Luffy grabs him, he brings him close to himself and starts shaking Kizaru. And Kizaru's comment like, "Oh, I'm in quite a pickle. You know, this is odd. I never had something giant grab me before." And Luffy. He's not just shaking him. He starts spinning his arm. Right, he spins his arm to throw Kizaru away. Kizaru's just like, "Hey, take it easy, bud. Don't break me. Don't break my bones or don't crush me." But Luffy just fucking throws him across the sky. And as you see later, he threw him really far. But unfortunately, he's dealing with someone who can fly, so it really doesn't matter. But I mean, it was a great attempt. If this had been a Kainu or a Aokiji or a Green Bolt, this would have been a tougher predicament. Well, Aokiji could have just turned the water into ice, but he's still the way Luffy throws him, how far he throws him is under some circumstances would have been really great, because it would have just made the fight would be over. But and so Luffy's definitely still having fun here too, because he first just starts laughing as he's holding, or kind of giggling in a way when he's holding Kizaru, and he starts flinging back in the air and laughing his ass off about how far away he threw Kizaru. And so while that happens, the others are like, "Great, this is the opportunity we need to get rid of, to get out of here. I'm sorry, to escape." Luffy's got Kizaru busy. He must get going. So at this point, though, because Kizaru's up here, Atlas realizes, hey, let's get the other. Let's get the Mark III pacifistas back under our command. Because if we don't do it now, we'll still be shot down by those things once we get past the barrier. Uh, Okay, so this is something real interesting too, though, for like what's going to happen probably next chapter, because she says, "But no, there's no higher authorities here than the Vegapunks. So if I get back down there now, if I get down there and change their command, then Kizaru can't come back. Kizaru can't come back and change it again because she'll stay down there and make sure, I guess, especially because Luffy now is keeping Kizaru busy." I got OCD about seeing stuff behind me. I gotta stop it and let it alone. So right here, what I want to point out, and this chapter kind of hints at it later, they don't know that one of the Gorosei are here. They have a problem and they don't realize, and this is probably gonna mean that what I think will happen later is that Saturn is gonna have to come out and get on shore. So maybe we'll see a bit more about that transformation that appeared him and his other uh, um, uh, colleagues of the Gorosei can do in the next chapter or two. So we'll see that. We'll have to obviously wait for that. So this plan is solid in and of itself, because if Luffy can keep Kizaru distracted and they can get the Mark IIIs back under their control, then they have the advantage once again for now. So what happens next is wait a minute here. So Vegapunk here actually wants to go with Atlas. He says he wants to go. So he plans on going down with her, and Usopp. This is smart of him too, though. He objects to Vegapunk going down there. This is like they know he understands that we're trying to protect you. We don't. You shouldn't put your life in danger. But it's clear that Vegapunk isn't going to listen. So him and Atlas are getting ready to go down there. I guess Edison's going to stay with Usopp and Nami here. So then Vegapunk goes and communicates with Frankie. So Bonnie, Frankie. Oh wait. Wait, so what is that? Vegapunk, I think, is the one who tells Frankie where Bonnie ended up. So Bonnie didn't get kicked through the stratum the way Luffy did. Kizaru must have kicked her, gone easy on her compared to Luffy, because he points out that she's at the lower stratum, and then Frankie's like, "Oh, that's a relief. Last I saw, she got kicked away and she hit the barrier." But then Vegapunk kind of scolds him a little bit there, like, "How can a big guy like you let that happen? Let her get kicked?" And clearly he doesn't. He's still a little underestimating Kizaru's speed, because Bonnie just flung at him, and I'm thinking that Frankie would have probably charged up his radical beam sooner to attack Kizaru when he appeared by them, but I'm sure he would not want to hit Bonnie. So when she got kicked away, then he tried to fight back, but then Kizaru just like immediately dismissed him and was heading to get Vegapunk. And we still see Lilith here too. So they got the Sunny nearby, and they got something of interest. I thought they were at the top still, but they got like this area where there's to the left of Frankie, or behind Frankie, kind of to the left of Lilith. There's this container area that looks like it's holding poison. Actually, that's a weird looking symbol, because it looks like skull and bones, but it's got like a straw hat on it. What the hell does that mean? Is that a little Easter egg Oda put in there or something? Very odd looking there. So Frankie and Lilith. Frankie says he's gonna go save Bonnie and go bring her back up, and the others are listening at this point. And Sanji does what Sanji does. He's like, "Hey, wait a minute! If someone's gonna go rescue Bonnie, I'm coming. I'll be the one to save her." Essentially, and we see him together. Oh, let's see, they're on Building A, second floor. Actually, yeah, it doesn't tell us where Frankie is, but then when you see Sanji and Jinbei. They're on the second floor of Building A. Wait, what was that one again? That was I'll have to throw that up. I'll find the map afterward. I used to have that image here somewhere. I misplaced it. Let's see. Building A. Wasn't that the middle one? And B and C were on the sides? Something like that. And then Jinbei's here moving cargo or luggage that Vegapunk requested to have brought with him. Uh, and So then Jinbei says, okay, since I got your luggage already, Vegapunk, let's all meet back at, I'm heading to the exit. We should all meet together there now. So they're down there. Yeah, they're down there. That's right. Uh, so who's still at the top? Usopp and Nami were still at the top. We don't see Robin here. She's we don't see Brooke. Brooke is probably with Robin, I'm gonna assume, to help make sure because they got Kizaru there. I'm thinking he might be acting as her bodyguard again, like in Wano, because I don't think we see her at all here. So now we switch to the lower stratum, and we see the Marines that are storming the island and trying to take command. Um, so then because Julie Bonnie's there, so Bonnie's back up and at him, and we see some Marine commanders reporting to their other men to stay away from the central part of the town because Bonnie's there and she's wielding her power to turn lots of the other men into children or adults, and so they can't find her. So apparently they saw her at first. But then she turned this group of them. We see about 10 of them. It looks like into old men and children, and then she gets away, and we actually get to see her here behind a rock. So then we see Bonnie there, looking around, checking where the Marines are, and also we see briefly here Sentomaru is passed out again. Well, not again. So we'll get to. He's passed out, and the Marines are saying they found his body. So Kizaru left him there, and now the other Marines have come upon him. And we get a brief flashback here that's very nice. So we see here that Sentomaru and Bonnie must have known each other because, Bonnie has come here with Kuma, and Sentomaru's been working for Vegapunk for 20 years? I forget how many years it has been. And so what happened when she fell is Sentomaru actually rescued her. I missed this part at first, but because the way it's so dark. But he saw her falling here. She was already all bruised up. She got burned by the lasers, and when she fell to the ground, Sentomaru saw this and caught her, and then tells her get out before the Marines come. I don't know if he planned on distracting them, but we just see him pass out again after that in the ground when the Marines and the Marines are converging onto him there. And then Bonnie's now conflicted though of whether or not she should hide until this is all over, or I don't know. But it looks like Frankie and the others are gonna come try and rescue her. So come on, Wilder. Wilder. So next we switch over here to Zoro finally, and we see we start with actually Luffy. This is right after Luffy's thrown away Kizaru, and he's just floating above the lab still. And he sees Zoro and Lucci fighting, and he's laughing at the thing. He's just enjoying. He's like, yeah, you can tell how Luffy, of course, is still in this phase. He's like, you know what it is? I just realized Luffy's like the little embodiment similar to the smile fruits that made by Vegapunk and not Vegapunk, Caesar and Doflamingo was helping him, and so he's just laughing at this fight, even though it's like usually Luffy's very serious. That's what I'm trying to get across, but he's now kind of out of his lost that self control when he's in this gear fifth. And we switch briefly to see the two fighting, Zoro and Lucci. And Zoro's doing really well. And you can see clearly that Lucci's in his awakening form. But he's I think he's kind of on the defensive here. And he's being pushed back. Zoro's got all the swords out, of course. I was watching the live action. I keep forgetting how Zoro, because I was watching that, and Zoro barely uses Watto in his mouth in that. And that in the live action, he only pulled out his Watto and put it in his mouth. Like, did he even do it in the last? He probably did it in the last fight against the Fishman. But I only remember it primarily against Axe Hand Morgan and Mihawk. Hey, stop biting. Stop it. You're too bitey. That's very bitey today. No, you want me to sit? Come on, sit with me. Sit here. I'll pet you. No? Alright. Yeah, misbehaving cat. She gets all nippy, but I ignore her. So they have a brief exchange here, Lucci and Zoro. And Zoro's like saying like I'm clear, like, oh, I also noticed the way he draws the swords here. They're all black looking. Wait, is that? So he looks like he's got Watto in his mouth, and I think he's holding Kitetsu. Is that Kitetsu or Enma? I forget their guards. He's holding one. He's holding Enma and Kitetsu the third in his hands, and Zoro just comments with, "How well I see you're fighting. I'm not gonna let you fight. Even bother fighting Luffy. I can take you myself." And Lucci just replies, "Huh? Maybe just fighting you. Maybe it'll be worth my time just to take the number 2 guy of an emperor." And that's all we get of those two fighting here. But it's really cool to see them fighting. And by the way, like, I don't know if he doesn't look. I can't tell if Lucci's getting cut up. I think he's like, he must be using the what's that iron defense thing they use? I forget the name of that. One of the 6 powers they can learn. It doesn't look like he's quite using hockey there. But like Zoro, because he's got his one arm out in this panel, and Zoro looks like he's trying to cut Lucci across the forearm, but it doesn't look like it went through. So he's defending himself well somehow. So now we switch back to Kizaru, and we see how he's fallen like way beyond the blockade. You can see the little ships in the island in the distance there. So he's like a couple miles away or more, and it's kind of like, I don't know what happened. If he's like, it looks like he's just kind of thinking there, and he just suddenly realizes, I'm gonna fall, and then right at the last second, fall into the sea. And right at the last second, as he's getting close to the water, he just zooms up, and then starts dissipating into all kinds of small light particles. Oh, you do want to be helped, kitty. Small light particles to go back toward the island. And he comes right back toward where Luffy is floating, and Luffy's looking on as these dozens of light particles come out toward him. And Kizaru pulls out an interesting technique here. He now uses all that light to make clones of himself, and it has, I think, all of them, I think, are forming the light sword he always uses, and they start swinging at him, try and get him. And this is another interesting attack, but it looks like Luffy's speed against them here is pretty good, because one of them does cut him, actually, because it says ouch. Oh yeah, cut him right in his face, his right side. And so Luffy retaliates by pulling out his a whip attack, his leg whip attack. This one says Dawn Whip, Gamu Gamu no Dawn Whip, and he swings across a bunch of them, and it doesn't look like it's working though. Is he like using his hockey? Forgetting to use his hockey? It looks like it just splits through him, but it doesn't work. So then Luffy decides to actually just book it. He turns around and runs, and he's got little spinny legs. And while the Kizaru clones are chasing him, but actually it turns out to be a feint. Oh, that's right. So he turns around. They're forming a line and spinning around after him. But then he says, "You fell for it." Oh, I see how he does a. Oh, okay. He forgot to use his hockey the first time. Yeah, because then he does a Dawn Stamp. So like he did against Arlong, and I know he tried it against Stamp. So doesn't look good here. So Luffy does this Stamp attack that when he's one of those oldies, like I think I remember him. This is how he defeated Arlong, and I think he tried that against Crocodile too. So he lined up. He got Kizaru's clones to line up to and used his a hockey up down stamp he calls it. I guess he's yeah. He must be renaming these because he's in his awakened form. Uh, oh, that a translation. Either way, he destroys all of them, and then they just disperse again into little light particles. And he's like, I wonder if that took out the real one. But it turns out this was a ruse by Kizaru, because while Luffy's fighting the clones, Kizaru's gone back to the lab where Vegapunk and everyone was. But at this point, it's just he's holding Usopp by the throat, and then you got Nami there, and who's that to? Oh, that's Brooke, right? There's Brooke. Okay, Brooke is still there. I don't think we still see Robin here, but Brooke and Nami and Usopp are definitely at the top, and he's just come back there to look for the Vegapunk, and he's like, wait a minute, how come Vegapunk's gone? Meanwhile, Luffy's like, oh shoot, I fell for that trick. His eyes are popping out like a dozen times there. And so we see what Vegapunk has done is he's got this little two-wheeled vehicle with is that the one they showed earlier? I don't know. That has the main part of it is a orb, and Vegapunk and Atlas are sitting in it, and Sanji comes with Sanji's coming with them here, and Sanji even says, Sanji's like, Vegapunk, you look so serious. What's going on? And Vegapunk here, he's very intent on wanting to help Bonnie here. He's like, I won't let a young girl die on my watch. And Vegapunk, Luffy and Kizaru see him escaping here. Actually, I forgot to mention, he like blasted through they had that diagonal, I think it's like a tube with an escalator in it, and he blasts out on top of that through the glass, like very dramatic there. But that allows Kizaru to see where he is, and Luffy notices it too, and he's like, "You're gonna get yourself killed. He spotted you." And so Vegapunk, I keep getting the names wrong. Kizaru prepares one of his laser beams, and Luffy, damn, oh, I hope he can take this hit. He goes in front of it. He goes and takes the hit, and it like gets him like across his whole body. They show light coming out his face and his mouth and eyes and nose and everything. And it's like he's talking about how hot it is. And Jesus, we see the back of it too from the Vegapunk's viewpoint, and he just got blasted. And meanwhile, that's happening. While that's happening, Frankie has come and jumped on top of the Vegapunk's vehicle to try to come along with them and help get Bonnie. Wait, then someone yells to Frankie. Who's saying it to him? Someone tells Frankie and Lilith to go get the Shogun to carry the ship. Is that Frankie's other robot? No, wait. The Shogun. What is that? I must have missed something there. And then, so Lilith is there too. Wait. What's the Shogun? Is that the Frankie? Oh yeah, Battle Frankie, the General Frankie. Was that the one? Can I hold this ship? Does he have a big one that makes? I forget now. Does he have one bigger than the Sunny? I think that's what he's implying there. I kind of forgot about that one. So now we come to the toward the end of the chapter here, and then we see so the Marines, other Marines, or is that maybe Kizaru reporting it? Because we switch to the coast, and we see the other Marines receiving a message about Vegapunk is down on the left, as escaped from the upper lava phase and is down on the lower one. So then we switch to Edison here, who's he's the one controlling the shield, and he opened it up so they could get down there, and then he looks like he's putting it back up to make sure the other Marines can't get up there. They got Kizaru, and Lucci's still there, of course. But now they're like, okay, he looks like Edison saying, "I'll keep this. We gotta keep this up to the plan is to keep that up, and so no one else can get up there." So as we get to the end of the chapter, we have we have Marines in the main city seeing Vegapunk coming down like I think the clouds that connect the two parts, and Atlas starts commanding the Mark threes. Say like this is a Pacifist, hear my voice. This is Vegapunk giving you a command. Get rid of all the Marines from the island. And we see one of them sitting there with like the receiving the sound bite. It's like they do those sound effect ripples. And the last panel is Saturn listening to all this, and he just looks very somber there. And my read on this is he's thinking, "Oh, that means I'm gonna have to come in now, aren't I?" Because, like I stated earlier, this is Atlas's plan here was because she thinks they're the highest authority there on the island. She understands the hierarchy that exists that they created, but she does not know, obviously, that Saturn is there. And I'm sure that means he's going to have to come in and onto the island and give a command that's going to be unbreakable at that point. And that's part because I don't think I've emphasized this enough, but Teching 101, I keep seeing him bring up this point, and it's very true. Why did Vegapunk create this hierarchy solely like this and not have like a back door or a loophole? Unless he has one, he hasn't brought it up to us. This is probably what's going to happen, and now we're going to find out if there is nothing like that. You guys are definitely in trouble as far as dealing with the Mark threes. So shit, and fighting those things is probably finding those things. I think even for the Straw Hats would probably be almost as hard or similar, like to when they had the problem finding a regular pacifista 2 years ago. Like these things now have bubble technology where they can do the C prism, use these bubbles with C prism and properties, and they can block. So that can mean they could block like devil fruit powers and stuff like that. I wonder how that would I think that blocks other attacks too. I should say, not just devil fruit stuff. That would be very tricky for someone like Luffy or Brook or Chopper to fight. Obviously Nami, I mean Robin too, but like I'm talking about like getting the attacks in because they can block him. So a lot happened here today. A lot. I hope Luffy looks like he got burned up good. It looks like his clothes get burned off there. His shirt looked like it did. This was this is so good. So Luffy definitely though also is forgetting a bit to use his hockey in a couple spots. I noticed he's got a get on it. He grabbed Kizaru though, looking like he did it. But I think he just caught Kizaru off guard there. Kizaru's probably also given Kizaru seems like someone who might be a bit observant and wouldn't react. Like I'm kind of surprised he didn't just try to zap Luffy right there, like with beams from his eyes or something, and hit Luffy in the eye. But no, he just got thrown away, and I think he was just kind of like thinking there while he was on the air, like, that is interesting. That's interesting. This Gear Fifth, I'm gonna have to think up a new strategy, and so that's his. That stratagem he did with the distraction was really good because he's something too. Kizaru's definitely like trying to focus on the mission more. So like he fought Luffy a little bit in Gear 4. Snake Man once he kicked him away. Oh, how did he do it? Yeah. Then he tried to get Vegapunk. Now he got thrown away. Now he got thrown away, I should say. So now he's like, okay, I gotta be more serious a bit about this fight against Luffy because he's going all out against me. So Luffy though didn't clearly look like he has an advantage here, but he did take out all those clones really well once he lined them up. He was pretty clever himself, using his Gumu like his stretching powers. Then he lined them up, so he's not doing terrible. He's just I think he's just gonna have a hard time against a Logia like this. Like this is almost like when he had a problem with kind of like when he had a problem with fighting Katakuri, who's technically not a Logia, but the problem is where they can split themselves apart, and they can reform and all this stuff. He's having similar problems here because when he fought Kaido is just this really strong hockey user that he can try and punch. Now you got this guy who's so fast. It's yeah, again like Katakuri. Katakuri had great speed, and Katakuri's observation hockey was the most important reason Luffy was having a problem hitting him too. And so now he's got the same thing going on with Kizaru here. But so it'll be interesting to see how he can, if he can step up his game somehow to win. Or not win, maybe buy enough time at least. Because now, how's Vegapunk? Now it's like Vegapunk's on the bottom of the level phase. The plan originally was to like get just go escape off the top, but now that Bonnie's down there, they're splitting apart, and him and Atlas and Sanji, I think at least, are going to the bottom to get Bonnie. So those four down there, maybe they'll try and get Sentomaru. And now Lilith and Frankie are still going to try and get the ship out to the edge, and then you got Edison and everyone else inside the lab, or except Zoro. Zoro's fighting out just outside the lab. So things are getting very chaotic. I kind of said that in the beginning. This is just becoming chaos now, and they're all getting split apart. Kizaru really did good and nothing else at making things tricky that way. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to end this stream today, video. So, whew, a lot to think about here. Yeah, I'm just going to end this here today. Thanks for watching.